So now what I'll have demonstrated and shown to you is the drop run drill and how it's used within this pocket box that we use for training the quarterbacks. So this is called drop run drill. And what we're doing is we're training the quarterback to avoid defensive ends that are rushing hard up the field. Every position group has footwork that's a response to what the other person on the side of the ball is doing in his footwork. So this is a quarterback footwork response to defensive ends who rush hard up the field. So what's going to happen is Caleb's going to take a 5-step drop and stop. And what we're saying in this game scenario is that he gets to the top of his drop and stops, and the defensive ends are coming so aggressively that he can't escape outside. He's got to escape up into the pocket up the middle. When he does this, there's certain techniques and footwork that he needs to do. Okay? So that's what we're going to teach him to do to avoid defensive ends that are rushing hard up the field. So we're going to take a 5-step drop. He's going to do 3 consecutive repetitions. And I'm going to run this through the whole time so you can see it. And then I'll go back and explain the techniques. 5-step drop starting with his right foot. He's going to get to the top of his drop and he's going to turn his shoulders square. He also needs to keep his eyes up the whole time so he can see down the field. Okay? So he did 3 repetitions, a 5-step drop, came back and touched the line with his left foot on each repetition, and then stepped with his right foot to start. So that way make sure that he was on his back foot on his 5th step. All right? So let's talk about the techniques that he should be doing as he does this and goes back. He's going to take the ball, eyes down the field, front shoulders open, good top of the good drop back steps that we've talked about in other videos. As he heads back, his head is perfectly stable. He's doing crossover footwork. And the key is when he gets here, he gets to the top of his drop and he feels this defensive end pressure coming from both sides. So he knows he can't escape outside the pocket. He's got to go up into the pocket. So he's heading down the field. The first thing he's going to do is going to turn his shoulders so that they're square to the line of scrimmage, just like that. When he turns his shoulders like that, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make sure that if all of a sudden this defensive end climbs the offensive tackle and dives to try to reach the ball, the guy, if the defensive end is on his right, as we're looking at it, he can move that ball to his right side and avoid that. If the defensive end on his right side, left side as we're looking at it, he can move this ball left or right to avoid any defensive end swiping at the ball. Okay? He's going to run downhill like that, and his decision is, what is the Mike linebacker doing? We know that the Mike linebacker is the guy that has the quarterback. So if the Mike linebacker drops into pass coverage, he's going to run. If the Mike linebacker comes get him, he's going to pass it. So that's the decision and why we call it drop run. He's going to drop back. He gets pressure from the defensive ends. He turns, should have his eyes down the field. So what we coach Caleb on right there is to make sure your eyes are up the whole time so you can see what the Mike linebacker is going to do. And then make a decision before you get to the line of scrimmage of whether you're going to run or pass based on what the Mike linebacker did. He's also in a position, in this position, where he can throw this football as he heads down the middle of the line of scrimmage, toward the line of scrimmage. As he heads down the middle, he can throw it at any time. And one of the things that we do in our throwing progression is we do what's called hips throw, and we do that when our shoulders are in this position. So we've worked on that technique of throwing from this position where our shoulders are facing down the field, of coiling and uncoiling. So this drill is the footwork that goes with one of the throwing progression drills that we do called hips throw. So that's the essence of the drop run drill. We're going to have him do 3 drops consecutively, step with his right foot, nice tall posture as he goes back, good smooth rhythm footwork, stay tall and square, keep your eyes up, and always remember that you're doing this in response to defensive ends that are rushing hard up the field, and you're going to have to escape up the middle. So we find the Mike linebacker, and we either run it or we throw it based on what he's doing. If he comes to get us, we're going to look for somebody to throw to. If he doesn't come get us, then we're going to run it. And that's the footwork that you want to do to train them to respond to defensive ends rushing hard up the field. Drop run drill.